On May 25th, Saturn enters Aries, and this is one of the most important astrological events of 2025, and some would argue the most important astrological event for you. Now, I'm saying this because Saturn is one of those planets that comes in like a wrecking ball, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be cataclysmic and catastrophic, but it does mean that something very much is about to change in a very real way in the Aries part of your life. A new dawn stirs in the skies as Saturn steps boldly into Aries. And in Aries, we want to initiate. We want to move forward powerfully and passionately. Some people who have weak Aries placements or a part of your life that is not in alignment can have a hard time expressing oneself. And maybe this transit with Neptune and with Saturn, of course, because they're going to be conjunct, guys, as soon as they ingress. And we've talked about this before. This is going to provide a moment, and then over the next couple of years, where you can build something that you truly believe in. Neptune is a planet of belief. It's a planet of inspiration and creativity, and of course, spirituality. So we need to believe in something within the formless. The creative field, whether you're an artist or not, creative just means invent. Just to bring something into our lives that comes from a deep place of belief and spirit, inspiration. And Saturn wants to structure some stuff, okay? So this is a very powerful time for spiritual discipline, and that's something I want to talk about today. And I've made videos on Saturn and Aries before, by the way, my friends, and this is just going to be hopefully a shorter version of some further insights on how I feel this can help you, and of course share some insights on the world, because I've already seen a few manifestations that are very powerful when it comes to what Saturn already can start to show us. And one is actually the Pope passing away. Okay, think about what the Pope is, an authority figure. Okay, whether you agree with the philosophy and the religion of Catholicism and Christianity or not. But the Pope died under a very powerful astrological alignment, which is probably worth another conversation in itself. And I won't get into it, but many of you out there who know astrology, and track it, you probably are aware of the alignment that was going on when the moon was conjunct Pluto and doing some wild stuff, okay? But by the time they finish voting for a new Pope and elect a new Pope, we're approaching the moment that Saturn ingresses into Aries. I think it's like within the week or maybe up until the day. Could you imagine if Saturn literally ingresses into Aries on the 25th and that's the day we get the Pope announcement? That's incredible. Saturn, authority, Neptune. We can look at that as a spiritual force. Okay. Now, maybe something else I could touch on maybe later in the video or another time involving the Pope or something like this is a lot of people are talking about how Pope Francis was kind of a progressive in the church, all things considered. And will this be an opportunity for the church to move forward in a more progressive way in the footsteps of Pope Francis? And when I say progressive, I just mean like he was pretty open to a lot of things that no other Pope was before, including human rights and all this other stuff. But we're dealing with Saturn, authority, tradition, okay, traditional ways of doing things, okay? But Neptune wants to break down structures. So this is the thing with Saturn and Neptune. We don't know if this is going to be a structuring in an authoritarian sense, which, don't get it twisted, the Catholic Church can very much be that authoritarian force, especially when you have such traditional values packed into it that may or may not be useful for modern society. But we can also look at Neptune dissolving the way the old has always been. So this is an interesting time, and this is why astrology is so fascinating, because you just never know how these planets are going to manifest itself. Okay, look at the stuff going on in America politically. We have one force dissolving the structures or trying to dissolve the structures of what was always part of the government and trying to birth something new, a new vision. And then we have the other side of that, where they're fighting against and trying to save parts of the old structure that have always worked and possibly have helped people in a really, really big way. So we really have a time that we're living in where Saturn's influence in Aries, where so many things want to begin or be reborn or redone in some fashion and want to move forward boldly. There's so much that there's so many ways this can translate to, when it comes to the world stage. In our own life, I really want to make it clear how important spiritual discipline is, and how discipline, finding imagination and spirituality is really how we can evolve in the highest of ways in the Aries parts of our lives. So we can expect a slow burning courage that we need to adopt, and a kind of spiritual ambition here for our own lives. And this is some stuff I want to get into today, my friends. And I don't want to talk too long. And I keep saying that in all my videos. And a lot of you know that my videos are well north of 30 minutes these days. But there is so much changing in our own life. And I really want to do my best to tap into the intuitive sense of it all and provide you with the deepest of insights that I possibly can. Because Saturn conjunct Neptune is not just about chasing illusions, it's about daring to shape them into reality. So not all illusions are bad, because illusions are just how we vision stuff. It is things that are maybe not necessarily there, but what can we do to weed out what's not useful, and what can we do to birth what is useful? Because every great idea and every transition in our life and any movement forward that includes deep transformation, I would say comes from a deep place of inspiration and creativity. And like many shamanic cultures say, that a lot of deep spiritual change can come from a place of imagination, even like in shamanic journeying. Yes, aspects of shamanic journeying are very real when you meditate deep enough into that space where you are visualizing whatever you do in a shamanic journey. I'm not a master of shamanism, but there is an aspect how powerful the link of imagination is to the spiritual world and the spiritual realms, and where we can find those gems of wisdom to bring into our life and do something new there. So Saturn and Neptune is going to be very shamanic, but also very practical and pragmatic, and dissolving things that no longer serve us. Because again, Saturn's going to come in and want to structure and kind of make you look into the mirror at some stuff in the Aries parts of your lives. Neptune will want to dissolve some of that, and then let Saturn also have an opportunity at the same time, over time, with time and patience, because Saturn also represents time and patience, and it's a slow burning stick of incense, if you will, that will then require our deep meditation, reflection, and passion and confidence and courage for us to do something new there. Okay? So I'm going to dive into a few things today, guys, that I hope are helpful for you. But before I continue, I would just like to say that if you're enjoying this video thus far, or any of my other videos, if you have explored other videos of mine before you've come to this one, I would really appreciate if you could consider subscribing to the channel, maybe liking the video, hitting the notification bell, leaving a comment. I really would love if you could consider becoming a part of the community here. We really do have an amazing comment section. Everyone loves sharing their placements and just their experiences with some of the transits that I talk about here. And yeah, I would love if you can consider subscribing, and every subscribe and like and engagement with the channel also helps the channel grow. And I know that there's a ton of people out there that are very hungry for content such as mine. And I'm not saying that from a place of ego or anything. I just feel the astrology community needs to continue to flourish. Okay. And I feel this is a really powerful moment in time for us all who are passionate about sharing spiritual insights and astrology to, get their work out there, So, so by doing any engagement with the channel here will greatly help the growth of the channel, and I would appreciate that. Also, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Joe Theodore, and I'm a consulting astrologer and teacher of astrology and various esoteric things. And if you would like to learn anything else about myself, you can click some links down below and travel to my website as well. where you can book a 90-minute Zoom reading with me. And yeah, I don't have any spots left for May for readings, but I do have openings in June. So if you would like to get in and book with me by June, please go check out the links down below, and you can go right to my website and book easily. That all being said, I don't have any more announcements today, my friends. Yeah, so let's just get into some more commentary on what I feel Saturn in Aries is going to do for us in this very historic time. All right, my friends. Well, there's really three things I want to talk about, to be honest with you, from this point forward involving Saturn in Aries. And again, I'm not sure how much mundane stuff I'm going to talk about, probably very little. So I suggest if you would like to hear some of more of my collective thoughts on Saturn in Aries, and I'll probably make other videos down the line involving some of the collective stuff, but you know, I really want to tap into how this is going to affect you, okay? And I want to talk about spiritual discipline, dreams with deadlines, and disillusionment, and how important all of those are for us to really come to the fullest, for us to come to the Aries part of our life in the fullest of ways so we can express our truest potential there for extreme growth, happiness, and for spiritual liberation even, okay? Because I think we're all going to be liberated in that Aries part of our life, okay? Neptune is there, and it's going to want to liberate us in some way, shape, or form, and that usually is going to start with very deep spiritual, inspiring insights, and also insights that want to erode some shit that we don't really need anymore. But what's also interesting about this ingress, guys, and you know I've been talking about the first decan of Aries for quite some time. And for those of you who don't know what decans are, they are subdivisions of the zodiac, and they have been around for thousands of years. And I associate tarot cards to these decans because about 100 or so years ago, the Golden Dawn Hermetic Order assigned minor arcana tarot cards to all the decans. So I like to use these tarot cards within the Decan sphere, if you will. And this is a very magical aspect, if you will, to astrology. And for me, doing Decan research is really powerful. And with the full moons and the new moons, as many of you know, these tarot cards and these decans very much paint the picture of exactly what those lunar cycles are all about. But I do feel it's very important to look at powerful, like big transits on the decans that will be activated, and also the tarot cards associated with that. So, you know, the first decan of Aries needs no introduction. It is ruled by Mars, and the tarot card associated with this first decan is the Two of Wands. Now, aside from the Ace of Wands, for those of you who know tarot, the Two of Wands very much is that guy standing with the globe in his hand, looking over, you know, a vast landscape, okay? And this is about a vision of conquest for the world, a vision of conquest, a vision of what can I do to really conquer something here, to take over something, to take action boldly, okay? This is very much the beginning of a very long astrological journey. And it all starts with the fiery boldness of Aries, okay? So wherever Aries is in your life, again, please let me know where Aries is in your life. I know I've been screaming that from the rooftop here on the channel, but, and like I've told you, I've been sharing a lot about myself. Aries is the 6th house for me. It's all about my daily routines, my work, my service to others, how I take care of myself, my health and wellness. And there's a lot of changes involving my daily work. Of course, getting very busy as a professional astrologer, since this beautiful YouTube channel has done really well over the last year. And, you know, preparing to do so much in the future as far as building further in the astrological things I would like to offer you and the world, like teaching and all this other stuff. And of course, aspects to Aries to so many other places in my birth chart are very activated. So Saturn and Neptune are activating so much, including my North Node at 3 degrees Aries. So this is a really powerful time in my life, okay? And for all of us, we are hitting a really powerful moment of what are we going to do to ignite something here in the boldest of ways, and to do our best to be patient with this bold movement forward, and to really examine the desires we have here as well. even though Neptune is not in alignment with desire, so to speak, except for the dream aspect of Neptune. But, this really is the energy of building something timeless from the realm of the unseen. So we really are talking about time and patience here. So I do feel, and this is why it's such a powerful, life-changing rebirth, this entire Saturn in Aries moments, even when it goes beyond Neptune, starting in about 1.5 years from now. But this first 1.5 years is the most powerful, because this is when the conjunctions with Neptune will be the most powerful. And this is why, again, I feel we really need to get in tune with what we're doing in our life and what we're doing in the Aries part of our life, because this really is your time to shine and to really come into this world in a really powerful way, where we can begin laying brick by brick something really solid that can last the rest of your life. Okay, I know so many people right now that are having things happen to them in the Aries parts of their lives that are forcing them to make radical change for discipline, for self-realignment. Many people are having awakenings and realizing they need to take their life more seriously there. A lot of people are learning that I need to unblock this chakra in order for me to truly embody the best version of myself. And a lot of people are having wounds becoming more and more healed through this moment. Okay. And we have to remember, Chiron has been in Aries since 2017. So a lot of us have been going through a lot of purging and a lot of wounds within the Aries parts of our lives. So Saturn and Neptune, I feel, are also going to have some kind of significant triage for the Chiron wound. And that's like going into a whole other conversation, guys. But, we really are talking about examining the Aries parts of our lives. And what are we going to do to be more spiritual there, more creative there? What do we need to erode and get away and do away with? What old belief systems do we need to toss to the side? What new spiritual discipline do we need to bring into our life? Okay. And like I just said with my 6th house, okay, I know that there are times in my life, especially being busier with a lot of things in my life, that I slack on my spiritual practice. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Okay. I know I'm here to be a guide for you and a teacher and all this stuff, but I'm a human being, and I most definitely need to do more ritual from time to time. I slack off sometimes on my meditations. I, don't do as many ceremonies in a shamanic sense, because I feel like my shamanic practice is kind of like my number one way of cleansing myself. And I have a whole system of shamanic this and shamanic that I work with. Okay. And for me, that's just what's worked. So for me, I need to get back into more discipline when it comes to my personal spiritual practice, or my health and wellness will probably get sacrificed. So I know as I get busier as a guide, a teacher, a professional astrologer, and the more that I'm interfacing with other people's energy fields, and this is advice for any mystic out there or for all of us, what are you doing to protect your energy? We need spiritual discipline in that part of our life. That is what spiritual discipline is. Because meditation routines are going to be something that are very important. Artistic practices, anything that can allow us to become disciplined in some kind of a form, in some kind of an art form or some kind of a spiritual form that allows us to ground ourselves. And we need to deal with boundaries in this particular area of life as well. So, all of this can go hand in hand with the word boundaries, which is very important. And a lot of us share those, a lot of us say those words all the time, how important boundaries are. Well, Neptune's going to want to dissolve some boundaries and Saturn's going to want to create some new ones. So this is going to be a dance between so many different things in our lives. Okay. And again, we're not just going to shake the patterns and behaviors of the Aries parts of our lives. This is something that needs to be worked on. And I think that's why Saturn is fated to come into this, part of our lives with Neptune. I mean, this is a once in a lifetime transit, guys. This has not happened in hundreds of years. I think the 1500s was the last time that we had a Saturn and Neptune conjunction, if I'm not mistaken, in Aries. So, I mean, who knows what people were doing back then. But so this is really important. And this is also a time for dreams with deadlines. Okay. So long held dreams might start to feel like they need to happen now. And I know for a lot of us, that is activating. That is very much activating. And I know that's activating for me. I do have my North Node in the 6th house of Aries. So, I mean, I do feel that there's already some massive destiny that I was born to come into this world to start manifesting in a big way and to start really realizing like who I really am and what my true purpose here is on the deepest of levels. And I've never felt more aligned in my life and what I'm supposed to be doing and offering the world. And also, again, with my own spiritual, initiative in how I come to the world. So a lot of Aries lessons in my life are very, very important to be more bold and confident in what I do in this world. But also dreams with deadlines. Like, think about what that actually means. This is like not being afraid to start taking action on our visions, and also to not be afraid to start manifesting things that we truly believe in. Okay. And at the same time, things are going to dissolve away. There will be structures within that part of your life that will dissolve as new ones are trying to be built. Just like me, there are old patterns, and there's an old Joe that exists in that 6th house of Aries, but there's also a very powerful new Joe that is trying to gauge his life and trying to organize his life and trying to do his best to show up and to structure his life in a new way. Okay, in that 6th house part of my life. And also the other parts of my birth chart that are very much being aspected by sextiles, for example. My moon is very much going to be activated by sextiles, through this transit. So there's something very deep within me that is also changing in a deep, very deep level, in a very, very deep level. So, and we're also in a moment here. Disillusionment is another word. I really want to stress what that means. Disillusionment just means stripping away old illusions, okay? Like taking the fantasies we've had in that part of our life, okay? If we've had any fantasy, okay, that maybe is not in alignment with who we really are or who we're really trying to become, this needs to be very much examined. And Neptune is going to shine a light on that stuff. So anything involving fantasy or escapism is going to want to be dealt with. And Saturn is going to be there to show you those blind spots. And this very much Saturn is going to act like a cosmic wake-up call. So don't get it twisted. Saturn will do things to you to wake you up. And this is going to be probably the most powerful and beneficial aspect, in my opinion, of this transit, because without wake-up calls and those hard realizations that we need to do something new and structure something new and have these shamanic wake-up calls and rebirths, then we will really never change, to be honest, because those old patterns and behaviors will still linger around and they'll still want to rule our life. And this really is not good for the growth of what we're all being asked of right now in the Aries parts of our life. And again, that Decan that this is falling in, Mars, a Mars ruled Decan with the 2 of Wands, we are dealing with movement forward and conquest with power, aggressiveness, and passion, fearlessness. These are the energies that we need when Saturn and Neptune conjoin. Okay, and we need to observe our reality, because this is the thing with astrology, guys. We don't have to do anything. We're going to be presented with these energies. We're going to be presented with the fate that we were destined to go through. And it's up to us to make the proper decisions with our free will to shape our reality next. So that's the thing. Based upon your karma and what is being revealed and offered to you in the moment will pretty much be exactly the materials you will have in front of you to build, to evolve. So it's not even like you have to search and seek for anything. This stuff is just going to happen. And it's up to you to remember conversations like this to shape a new world for yourself in that part of your life. So again, my friends, we can expect slow burning. This is a slow burn. But this is also something that's going to happen very fast, because the other transits in the sky are activating in such a powerful way. Uranus and Gemini this summer, we will see a more powerful movement of this Aries stuff as soon as Uranus gets into Gemini, because that air coming from Gemini is going to sextile, providing opportunity from wherever Gemini is in your life. So please share with me where Gemini is in your life. How do you think the Gemini part of your life will affect the Aries part of your life? Okay. because Gemini is a mutable air sign, and that is going to be feeding this cardinal fire sign, which is going to provide some of that added chaos, but much needed wind to further our evolution. Okay? So that's just a little bit of extra insight for me today, my friends, and I hope you found this useful. Some of my more upcoming videos will be more tailored to the full moon, the new moon coming in May, maybe more on Saturn and Aries, of course. And then I actually want to start talking about Jupiter and Cancer. So if you stay to the end of this video, you can expect videos all like that to start arriving very, very, in the near future. So, yeah, my friends, that's all I have for you today. And I thank you so much for watching. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you are new and stay to the end. And yeah, wishing you the very best. Much love.